TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey gang, welcome to the show. My name is Scott Webb. Some people call me Beam 'em Up Scotty. Been around the block a little bit. Obviously, I'm a little gray. I've been doing this show now for a couple, maybe almost a little over a week. And man, I'm telling you, we're getting a pretty good following. We're getting quite a few views, not only on Twitter, but on YouTube and everywhere else. I'd like to be getting a lot more feedback, a lot more interaction. So if you got questions, or if you want me to break down a specific game or have a topic of discussion, just let me know. I'd be glad to see what I can do to help out in that spot. Some days, like Fridays are great days. I think they're one of the best days to bet baseball. I think Mondays are great days to bet baseball. And the main reason for that is because you got new matchups, right? The teams have traveled through Wednesday and Thursday, and now they got new matchups on Friday. And for whatever reason, the sports books, they come out with their number on Friday, and it is what it is. And it's usually a softer number. And then on Saturday, the number gets a little sharper because they've already played. And then on Sunday, it's their best number for the weekend. And then it all starts over again on Monday. So you got a new slate of games. And then all of a sudden, you're hammering these games on Monday. Today, when I looked at the board and looked at the games, I thought that there were some lines that were way off. Unfortunately, those way off lines are games I'm not going to bet on. I'm not going to bet a minus 200, stuff like that. So some of that stuff I thought was an error calculation. We're going to run through a little bit of an exercise in a little bit here on certain things to try to find some value on some stuff as the day progresses, and see where the numbers moved and what the lines look like, and if they presented us value or whether it didn't. So we'll do some of that. I got a couple of plays for you here in a minute. And then I wanted to hit you with a couple other thoughts and a couple other things. And one of the things, baseball obviously related, obviously it's a baseball show, but when you have a team that is doing well and the cogs of that team suddenly get hurt, and what does that do to that team? So I'm going to pull up my offense for just a second here. I'm going to talk about the Phillies for a second. The Phillies currently are fourth in offensive WAR for the last 7 days, and they rank seventh in ISO, isolated power. And when you chart out how many guys are over 1 WAR and how many guys are under 1 WAR, and you spread them out, they have a total score of 12.5. So that's pretty good. They have 6 guys over 1 WAR, only 1 guy below. That's really good. But one of the guys that got hurt was Harper. So what does that mean? Well, Harper was 7.2 WAR of that, 12. So he's more than half, just 1 guy. So you take him out, and then you take Schwarber out because he's hurt. So for those of you who don't know, Harper on the last play of the game last night was running to first base and tweaked his hamstring. He's never had a hamstring injury before, so he's not sure really how that's going to affect him. But that's a 10-day thing, maybe 15-day thing, especially if it's not torn or ripped or any of that stuff, because it came back pretty clean that way. It just matter of recovery. Hey, Daniel, how you doing, brother? And then Schwarber left the game. He had felt tightness in his groin area. Well, they put him on a 10-day DL too. So that lineup now is going to be missing 2 of the guys that show up as being over 1 WAR, and one of them is a 7 WAR of 12.5, and he's almost the number 1 player in all of baseball. Alvarez for the Mets is up there, and India for the Reds is up there higher than Schwarber, but nobody else. So when it comes to value and value to the offense, that's a big blow. And I would tell you for the next 10 days, be real careful betting on the Philadelphia Phillies. Have to see what their offense looks like. But when you're bringing up Rojas and those kind of guys to fill in, I don't think you're going to be getting the same kind of productivity and the same kind of at-bats that you got when you had Harper and Schwarber in the lineup. So this is going to be a team to avoid, I think, over the next 10 days. So that's just number one. Number two, I heard a guy talk about mindset the other day, and it was not necessarily geared towards sports betting or sports gambling, but I thought it was a good premise. So I talk about it here a lot, and we talk about a pitcher's pitch and it being, in that little box, and they throw up there and throw on the corner or the edge on the outside, and it hits the box and it's a strike. So it's a pitcher's pitch. And if you get the batter to swing at that, ultimately, generally speaking, the batter makes an out. Because it's not over the fat part of the plate. The barrel doesn't hit it. It doesn't, it's not a meaty pitch. Well, I bring that up in terms of mindset, because one of the biggest things that batters can do to improve their hitting is be more selective on what they swing at. Have you really watched what they swing at? They swing at pitches that are 6 to 7 inches off the plate, outside most of the time. And a lot of times they swing at pitches 4, 5, 6 inches inside. They swing at pitches, I say it's over their head, but it's really not over their head. It's over the letters. They swing at balls that hit the dirt. So if they were more selective as to what they're going to swing at, and they swung at just pitches that were over the middle of the plate, they're gonna hit the ball a lot more efficiently than what they do today, which in turn is the same thing when you're betting. So think about it this way. What if you have a fringe bet? It's like, oh my gosh, I think I should. I don't know if it's going to win or not. If it's not on the fat part of the plate, don't swing. Just let it go. And in your case, if you let it go, it's not a strike, it's not a ball, it doesn't hurt anything. And it's certainly not going to become an out where you lose your bet. So what I'm trying to tell you is mindset-wise, get to a point where your selection process of what games you're going to bet on becomes significantly improved. Because I was listening to the reports today come through on these sports books in states on their month of June so far and how much money they've made, and $14 billion in one state. And what really stood out was of that $14 billion, they made the most money that they could make by having small bets that they're enticing by advertising and whatever else they do to get you to do it on same game parlays. If you're out there doing same game parlays for $10 and $15 and $20 thinking that you're going to hit one of these, you might. But the reality becomes is that's how the states, that's how casinos, that's how these hard, brick and mortar buildings get built, is because you lose those bets. So what I'm trying to tell you to do is think about it in terms of balls and strikes, and you're the batter at the plate, and you're trying to drive the ball hard. You want to cause damage. You want to win. So in lieu of doing that, you need to get the barrel of the bat on the ball. So when you make your bet, that pitch better be right where you want it. And if it's not there, if it's not a strike where you can actually get your bat on the ball, then don't hit it. Don't attempt to swing at it, because you're going to get out. And when you get out, now you got to win twice. maybe even 3 times. But you got to win twice for sure just to make your money back. You got to pay for the juice that you bet on the game, and then you got to cover the bet. So you got to win once just to get your money back and be even. You got to win a second time to actually make any money. So you got to win twice. Every time you lose, you got to win twice. So make sure you swing the bat at good pitches. That's number one. And that's a mindset thing that you have to get your head around. And then number 2, I would say, that goes kind of hand in hand with that, is how do you know what's a good bet? How do you know that you're going to get the barrel of the bat on that particular bet, right? So here's the best way I can describe that to you is if you make the bet that you're going to make 1,000 times, you're going to go bet that same bet 1,000 times. What is your expected value positive? If you don't have an expected value positive, then don't make the bet, because you're going to eventually lose. You might win today, but over the course of 1,000 bets, you're going to have a negative impacting bet. It's not a bet that you should make, and it's certainly a habit you want to break. You only want to make EV positive bets that you expect over 1,000 bets, that if you replicate those bets are going to turn positive to you. So today's outcome, if you win it, that's great. But you know that if you did that same bet 1,000 times, you're going to win more money. You're going to win, and you're not going to lose. So I think that it's critically important that you get in that mindset as you're getting ready to develop your skills on sports betting, because it's not that I don't want to go into a nice place when I bet, or hang out at a beautiful place, but I know how it gets paid for. It gets paid for by everybody that loses. So make good bets. Don't make bad bets. I say this all the time. Quit making bets that lose. And I know everybody makes bets that lose. I make bets that lose. But the point being is don't make bets that you think are going to lose from the outgo. Make only bets and swings at strikes, right? Go make your swings at strikes. Make bets based off of what you see that you think is right. So mindset wise, I think those are great topics to talk about. And then I wanted to get into tonight's action a little bit, because what's been working isn't going to work today. So one of the things that's been working that I've been really hammering, like yesterday, I had 2 wins yesterday. The first one was the Minnesota Twins, and the Minnesota Twins did, I think they scored 11 runs or something, went out and just buried the pitcher that they were facing yesterday. And I was also on the Baltimore Orioles, who did the same exact thing. They beat up John Gray yesterday. So it's been a good week that way, finding a pitcher that this offense or any offense can take advantage of and exploit. Well, looking at today's slate of games, I go back to my pitchers. Looking at today's slate of games, I'm looking at them and I'm going, holy cow, almost all of them. There's 30 pitchers, and of those 30 pitchers, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 of the 30 pitchers that the stuff that they throw is better than average. So 23 pitchers are going to throw today that has stuff below average. Well, a below average pitcher, when they face an offense, is going to get ripped. So today's an over day, and I don't bet a lot of overs, but today's an over day, and today's one of those days where, holy cow, it's really hard to exploit bad pitchers when they're all bad pitchers. So we had to figure out some other solutions and some other things, and you had to work at it a little differently. So I wanted to kind of say that as I get started, is it's a little harder to kind of work around, but it's not the most impossible thing, because there's other ways to exploit stuff. You just have to figure it out, and then you're going to risk a little bit today. And the number one premise why I say all the pitchers are bad today, they're not all bad, but most of them are bad, and is because that puts an extra emphasis on the differentiation between how good offenses are. So if you got a bad pitcher facing a bad pitcher, offenses are going to take advantage of those 2 pitchers. Well, which offense is better? Well, that's the side you really want to bet on. And if the lines work out and the numbers work out and everything's in line, then you might have a bet. But what if you got numbers that, don't match and all that stuff? Well, then you're going to have to skip it. And you're going to have to figure out where to go and all that stuff. And so you have to work. So today I think was a work episode of lines for a Friday. And unfortunately, it happens every 5 or 6 days when these sets of pitchers line up and match up against each other, because they're going to pitch again in rotation sequence. They're going to show up again 5 days from now. And 5 days from now, they're all going to pitch against each other against different ways, and they're all going to be bad again. So you got to figure it out again. So anyway, all that being said, let's look at a game in Boston today. This particular game is the San Diego Padres. Let me go over here and get my numbers real quick, the lines, and see where they are. This is the San Diego Padres. Padres are playing at the Boston Red Sox. It says Randy Vasquez and Nick Pivetta. The opening line's 150. The line really hasn't gone anywhere. Circa has it at 149. Looks like bookmakers 155. DraftKings 162. So it's anywhere from 150 to 160. Maybe it's gone up a little bit. The total in that game is 9.5 that it opened, and it stayed at 9.5. So it looks like people don't really know what to do here. So as I looked at these pitchers and I started looking at where to go with it, where are they? Boston. There they are. So I start with game score here because I want to know what they did the last time out. So Randy Vasquez, his last time out, he threw a game score of 56. Hey, Jeff Dawson, what's going on, brother? Anyway, that being said, I think that when you sit there and you go 56, that's better than average, but not a great big amount better than average. 50 is average. But if you were 56 for the whole season, you'd be one of the better pitchers in baseball. 60, you'll be one of the best pitchers in baseball, period. So that's kind of that gap, right? 50 is average, 60 is the cream of the crop. So 56, well, you're getting up there. That was a good start, especially when you consider that for the course of the season, his game scores a 40. So he's a below average pitcher that threw a great game. So what does that mean? Well, that means you shouldn't expect him to throw a great game today. You should expect him to, at best, pitch his average game. Well, if his average game is a game score 40, that's good news for Boston. And likely, because he threw a 56, he's going to have to skew that back. He might not get a 40 today. It might be somewhere in the 30s today, which again is going to be great news for the Boston Red Sox. So the question then becomes is, do you really want to pay minus 150? I don't think I really want to pay minus 150. Well, how do you know? Well, you need to have a number to compare it to. And if I go look at my number, if I can get my number up today, there it is. I go get my number on that game, and my number for Boston was minus 142. So I'm right there in the same ballpark, 150, I think it's a little high probably. So I sit there and I go, nope, that doesn't have value. I don't want to make a money line bet. Okay, well, does that mean we give up on this game? Because I think you exploit Randy Vasquez. That's what we're trying to do here. All right, well, how do we do that then? Well, we're going to have to look at it from a different level. So let's go look at what the run predictor says. So my scoring predictor comes out, and my scoring predictor says Boston wins 5.8 runs to San Diego 4.3 runs. All right, we can do that makes sense, right? So we got a 1.5 spread there. Well, that's what the run line is. Do you really want to do that? I want bigger margin there if I want to play the run line. So I'm not real super thrilled to do that, but it's a possibility. So then you back down and you go, okay, well, what does the first 5 look like? Because ultimately, we are trying to beat up on Randy Vasquez. That's what we're doing. So my first 5 says San Diego 2.1 runs, so 2 runs, and Boston 2.6 runs. Okay, well, now we got our half a run. We're the home team, so we get to bat guaranteed in the 5th inning. So I'm sitting there going, I like that better. And what's the number? Well, it's minus 130. So I think that's a pretty good value play. So when you sit there and you go, okay, well, how do we exploit Randy Vasquez? That's how you do it. And then I looked at it and go, all right, that's the idea. So then let's go make sure it works. So we did the pitchers. Let's go look at one other thing with pitchers. Randy Vasquez is a 159 on SOPS plus. How does he control the opponent's offense, slugging, that kind of thing? It's a 159. That means he's 59% worse than an average pitcher. Well, that's pretty good news if you want to bet against him and you want to bet on, covering a half a run. I think that's pretty good. So, all right. So, again, pitcher matchup works fine. He's 3-7 in 10 starts. Again, that works pretty good for us. What is the deal here with offenses? Boston, 14th. Okay, well, they're in the middle of the pack. That's not terrible. They're scoring 4 runs a game. That's not really the best. You want it to be 5 or 6. That's where you want it to be. So you kind of got to look at it from a different level and go, okay, well, what's their ISO rank, right? Isolated power. Remember, we talk about this a lot. Isolated power is your at-bats divided by total bases. So it tells you doubles, triples, home runs, damaging blows. How does this team do at what they're really trying to do? They're not trying to drive batting average. They're trying to get a guy on base and then hit a dinger. That's what they're doing. And and ISO measures that. So how does Boston do? Boston's 4th in all of baseball right now. 4th. Okay, great. So in my opinion, then you sit there and you go, well, I got a pitcher I can exploit. Now I've got an offense that can exploit them. I don't want to go through the full game. I don't have a big bullpen edge with San Diego, meaning that, I can't go. It's not like betting against Colorado where you can come out there and score 4 runs against their bullpen every night. So this is one of those spots where I sit there and I want to go, let's do first 5 innings minus a half a run. Makes sense. I think it's vetted out. It's the right kind of a spot to be in. We'll play that game. And that's a lot better than, minus 150, minus 160. And I think that you have an opportunity to take advantage against the pitcher that you're getting ready to face. So that was number one, or play number one. Oh, I should write this down as play number one over here. 1. There we go. All right. So I had another thought, and there's really 2 here that I'm going to go over. The first thought is talking about a game in Atlanta tonight. This game is Pittsburgh against Atlanta. And this is Charlie Morton and Martin Perez. So this is the first time Martin Perez has pitched since he's come off the disabled list. And I love betting against guys coming off the disabled list because the public comes out and they start betting them thinking they're the same pitcher that they were. Well, there's a reason they went on the disabled list. And in general terms, when they come off the disabled list, they're still that same pitcher until they get going. They don't pitch, they don't pitch 6 innings. They don't pitch 7 innings. They pitch 4 or 5 at the most. So then it becomes a bullpen game. And in general terms, you can beat up other teams' bullpens. So that's a big advantage to Atlanta. But do you want to go out and pay that number on Atlanta? What is the number for Atlanta right now? The number on Atlanta is minus 200. Do you want to go pay minus 200? I don't want to go pay minus 200. So I don't go pay minus 200. My actual number, though, on this game is minus Atlanta is minus. Well, it's minus 195, so it's pretty close to the same number. So there's no value in betting the money line. So where does the value again come into this? Well, we have to go switch things around and look at the pitchers and how we do. And the number one thing here that we're doing is in this matchup, I'm going to be telling you to bet the Braves on the run line minus 1.5 tonight. But the reason isn't because of the Braves offense. Man, that sounds really weird, but that's really the case, and here's why. So we're gonna go back to my pitcher report, and we're going to go starting pitchers. We're going to go to Morton. There he is. So Charlie Morton, his game score for the season is a 52, right? So he's a little over average. He's a 40-year-old pitcher. So he's veteran guy, knows how to get outs, knows what's going on, that kind of thing. And Martin Perez game score for the season is a 44. He hasn't pitched since May 26th. This will be his first time since May 26th. So when you sit there and you start thinking about what he's doing and where he was, he pitched a 44 his last time and a 35 the time before that. So he didn't do very well. Got kind of beat up some. He doesn't have obviously doesn't have a fastball that's going to blow anybody away. He's got to throw the ball right where you need it to be to get outs. So when we talked about it just a minute ago, if you're the Atlanta Braves and you can be patient enough to get balls that are over the plate, you're going to have a successful day today. Now, if you're kind of jumpy and you're going to swing at pitches that aren't in the strike zone, then Martin Perez might have a good day. But here's the thinking behind it. So Charlie Morton's a 52. His last time that he pitched, he threw a 36. So well below his normal. So to get his average back to 52, he's going to have to throw a pretty good game today. And he's facing the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates offense is ranked 18th out of 30 teams. They have a score of -4.5 on their offensive players. They only have one guy out of the whole 9 guys that is batting above a 1 on WAR, and that's Brian Reynolds. So if they can control Brian Reynolds today, I think that they can do a pretty good job. And then on the other side, you got Kelenic and Riley doing a good job for the Braves. So I think that the Braves offense has the ability to capitalize. And the other thing that was pretty cool about this spot for Atlanta, the Pirates are -18% against right-handed pitchers over the course of the season against a regular offense. So against an average offense, they're 18% worse. And then the Braves, they haven't been the best Braves team you ever seen this year, but against left-handed pitching, the Braves are 8% better than an average offense. They've faced a lot of lefties, 28 times so far. They've won 17 of those games. So they're 17-11 in those spots. I like the scenario here where we get a good Morton, we get a bad Pirates team that only has one guy hitting, and if we can avoid his problems, so we don't get a walk and then he hits a home run or something. I think we've got a pretty good spot here where I think Atlanta can go capitalize, score 3, 4, 5 runs off of Martin Perez, and then Pittsburgh's bullpen isn't the greatest bullpen. Their bullpen right now ranks 26th out of 30 teams, and I think that they've pitched 45 innings the last 14 days and given up 54 hits. So that's not very good. So I think even if we're in a spot where we need one more run, we can get it. And so I think this is a favorable spot, and I think you can get pretty good value at the -1.5 for the Atlanta Braves. So that's play number 2. So play number 2 is the Atlanta Braves. Now these next 2, I'm going to tell you, are kind of suggestions and ideas that I came up. One of the things that I like to do is I like to look at where's the line moves and do I agree with them, and should we follow the steam or should we go against the steam? Well, just kind of looking at them. So the line move on that Atlanta game, it opened at 180, now it's 200. So we're sort of following that, but doing it a little different way. The Chicago Cubs game today with Milwaukee opened 135. It's now 125. So people are betting on Chicago. So when I kind of break that down, I look at my number and say, well, where's the value there? Milwaukee, there it is. I have that game at -113 for Milwaukee. And if it's still 125, I can see where there was value by betting on Chicago but I don't think there's enough value to follow the steam. So I'm going to leave that one alone. I wanted to get to the ones that are getting ready to start. Where's that other one at? Texas game. There it is. So 7:05 today. So right around the corner. This is Scherzer, Texas against Baltimore. This game opened Baltimore minus 135. And Jeff Dawson, if you're still listening, this is one of my favorite lines you've ever said. Respect the opening number from the bookmaker. You got to respect that number. It's there for a reason. The opening number was minus 135 for Baltimore. Currently, the number is anywhere from Circa's at minus 115, bookmakers at minus 115, South Point's at minus 110. So people like to go to, it's Max Scherzer's pitching today. Who's he pitching? Albert Suarez? I never heard of him. So let's go pick on Max, right? So that's what people are doing. They're out there going Max Scherzer, Max Scherzer, Max Scherzer. So I just said a little bit ago that one of my most favorite things to do is to bet against guys coming off the disabled list. And, I told you guys to bet against Scherzer the first time he came out. He pitched pretty well that day. But do you really know how he pitched? Just asking. Because, he pitched 5 innings. He only gave up 1 run. He didn't give up any home runs. I think he struck out a few guys. Didn't really walk anybody. So, veteran pitcher, good start. Game score 70. That's really good. So nothing wrong with his start. But what I want to make sure that everybody gets and they understand, when you grade a pitcher and his performance, there's a way to go look at his stuff. It's called Stuff Plus. And his grade on Stuff Plus, where is he? Scherzer. Average is 100. So if you're at 100, that means that you're throwing what everybody else throws. It's just average stuff. If you're really good, so somebody who's really good, for example, is like Logan Webb today. It's 116. That's pretty good. 16% better on stuff than what other normal pitchers have. But when you look at the other column that's called Pitching Plus is taking what their arsenal is, their velocity, their movement, spin rate and all that stuff, and then putting it all together and says, how do they use it? Locations and pitch selections and all that kind of stuff. And Pitching Plus is a column that kind of grades their performance. But Stuff Plus is just raw stuff, right? So what if I told you that Scherzer, his number today is 1, 2, 3. There are 3 guys out of the 30. And remember, we already talked about it. There's 30 pitchers today, and most of them aren't any good. Only 7 of them have stuff above average stuff. Scherzer is 26th ranked stuff pitching-wise today. His stuff graded out at an 82. That means he didn't have good spin rate. He didn't have good velocity. He didn't have good movement. But his pitcher plus number was 102. So he's a little bit above average on where he put the ball. All right. Well, who's he facing today? He's facing the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles hit 4 home runs yesterday. Not only did they hit 4 home runs, they are currently, if I can get over there, they're currently ranked number 2 in offense, only to the Mets. They are 58% better than an average offense. And they have Henderson, Mullins, Rutschman, and Westberg all over 2 WAR. They got 6 guys over 1 WAR and only 2 guys that aren't. And they're facing Texas, and Texas is ranked 16th. And poor Texas, they can't get their isolated power going. They're 26th out of 30 teams right now. They don't hit home runs. They don't hit doubles. So they're going to have to hit single after single after single to score these runs. So what I'm trying to tell you is this is a great spot to be betting Baltimore, not a great spot to be betting Texas. Scherzer has to be perfect for them to win tonight. Now, I will say that Suarez is not Corbin Burns. So my number on this game, by the way, my number on the game was Baltimore minus 165. That's where I think Baltimore is versus where Texas is. And the number is all the way down to 113. So if you make this bet 1,000 times, you're going to come out positive 17% of the time. It's just, or 17 more percent of the time. It's a great bet. So this is one of those spots where you go bet on Baltimore. You cross your fingers that Suarez has a pretty good day because he's going to walk some guys. But we're betting against the old man Scherzer out there finding his way. He threw a game score 70. He's not going to throw a game score 70 today. He's going to throw. He might throw a 50. He might throw a 55, but he could throw a 30. So I'm kind of banking on the idea that he's going to have more struggles than he is the other. We're getting great value. These guys are on sale today. Theoretically, they should be a minus 150 or better, and you can get them at minus 113. Great sale price. Bet the Orioles. It's a great way to go. And then one last one that I can't figure out for the life of me. The Chicago White Sox are playing the Colorado Rockies, and they're the two worst teams in baseball. The two worst teams in baseball. Neither one are any good. But at the same time that neither one are any good, how can you sit there and go and say, okay, the White Sox are minus 135, 140? They shouldn't be. That's too high. There's value on the Colorado Rockies. Drew Thorpe, I get it. He's a young guy, and people know his name because he was involved in the trade that got Juan Soto to the Yankees, and then he got involved in another deal, and he's a White Sox. So he's been called up, but his performance, when you break him down and you look at what his numbers look like, Drew Thorpe, where's the White Sox? There they are. Drew Thorpe, we just beat up on Scherzer for being a a pitching plus 82, being 18% worse than an average pitcher. Drew Thorpe he's an 83. That's no good. So his stuff isn't as good as everybody thinks it is. And then the difference though is Scherzer went out and has a pitching plus 102. So he knew what to do with the arsenal he had and put it where he goes. Thorpe pitching plus is a 90. It's 10% worse than average. He can't figure out where to go, and that's why his numbers look the way they do. He's got a 5.91 xFIP, 6.38 SIER, and a 5.11 FIP number. He only strikes out 5 guys per 9 innings, and he walks 7 guys per 9 innings, for gosh sakes. So he's going to walk more guys than he strikes them out. So then you sit there and you go, that none of this makes sense. How in the world is it possible that you can go and say, Chicago White Sox, the worst team in the American League, you should be a 134, 140 favorite? No way. It's way too high. And I get it. Daniel Hudson, who's pitching for the other side, it's not very good either. But he's a veteran, been around. He's had some pretty good games that he's thrown, gets a lot of soft contact. His problem is he walks too many guys. So if he can figure out how to throw enough strikes, I think that the Colorado Rockies have the better offense. The White Sox offense, by the way, if I can flip my data over to that real quick. There you go. The Chicago White Sox are 30th in offensive WAR and 30th in ISO. That's a bad combination. They have one player of their on their whole lineup that is over 1 WAR, and they have 5 guys below. So that's not good. And Colorado is not really hitting the ball crazy right now. They're 23rd out of 30 teams in an offensive WAR. But what's interesting is they're 13th in ISO. So they're actually top half in ISO. And they got a kid that plays shortstop for them, Tovar. If you've not watched him play, he's a pretty good player. Now, he's not Ellie De La Cruz and all the flash and all that stuff. He's just a solid performer that goes out and hits the ball. He hits better than Ellie De La Cruz does. Don't run as fast. Plays defense as well or better. I like the kid. I think he's a good player. So Tovar is leading their offense, leading the way for them. I don't think there's any way that the Colorado Rockies should be that big of an underdog. And so I would say, especially in the first 5 innings, take Colorado. The White Sox bullpen's actually been pretty good as of late. In the Colorado Rockies, they have no bullpen. So I would at least look at it from a money line perspective in the first 5 innings, taking Colorado. I think you'll find some value there. So those are it. That's what I got today, guys. I appreciate everybody that jumped on. It's Friday. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. I'll be on at noon tomorrow. If you would be cared enough to like and when I do that, like and subscribe to these channels and all that stuff, that would be great. It would help Jeff. It would help East Coast. It would help me. The two things I need somebody to throw out a nickname to call this show. I just say, hey, welcome to the show. Well, we need to name this show at some point in time. We need to have some kind of name for it. So let's name the show. And then second to that, follow me on Twitter. Got a lot of stuff that I'm doing that way. Get all the stuff when I'm going live. And if I put out an article, I usually put it out there too. Or you can do that. Someone did it earlier today. Go to my website and sign up to get the free email every time I publish something. It will come to you automatically. It just does. MLB-daily.com. Also, it would be great if I could get a couple of signups. Signups are $100. It's pennies on the dollar for the rest of the season in baseball. So the idea with that is, I was talking to a bookie earlier today, and we were talking about one of our other pals that does this, and we were talking about how criminal certain things are, and I'm like, look, it's $100. I'm not using your money to be my bankroll. I can't. That's not how this works. But what I am going to be doing is using that money to upgrade technology, try to find a sponsor, try to do some different things to get these shows going a little bit, and make it a little bit more big time. Jeff's got all these certain bells and whistles and fun things where you can have a rap that goes on like ESPN, and you can sit there and break down certain things and put it on the side and all that stuff. We'll be doing a lot of that stuff, and who knows? We'll see where it goes. But with your help and your support with those kinds of things, we can grow the channel and we can grow this show and carry it into football. Obviously, I do baseball. That's my website's MLB-daily.com. I'm big into the baseball, but I do football just as hard, just as fun, just as good. So anyway, thank everybody for being here. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everybody. There was a guy asked me on Twitter today how my health was, so I appreciated that. For those who don't know, last year was kind of a rough year health-wise for me. I was in the hospital twice. I had 3 stents put in my heart, and that didn't take. So I had to go back, and they put a 4th stent in my heart. Since that time, this year, I have lost 35 pounds. My weight's been really good. My heart is really good. I just got out of the doctor's appointment yesterday, so I can tell you all this stuff. I've been trying to really control a diabetes thing, and it's been awesome. My A1C number is now down to normal, so I'm not taking medicines for any of that stuff. So my energy level's high. My enthusiasm's good. We're winning bets. So man, it's been awesome. So now all that stuff's working out for me. The show's now taking off. We're getting anywhere from 50 to 100 people on the show every night. So it's been great. So anyway, all that said, continued success. Let's have a great Friday. And I will see you tomorrow on Saturday at 12 o'clock, guys. And again, thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate it. Have a great night and good luck.